What we have are various sensory perceptions when you look at them as themselves. They're nothing but a sensory perception. They don't carry anything beyond the data of the sensory perception. So then the question comes into, where is that being received?
Now it can't, we don't, let's what are the big candidates for the answer to that? One is in the brain, or in that part of the body. It could be that the leg itself is receiving it. But then, let's examine that. Let's say the leg itself is receiving this pain. Well, we've looked at the leg, and we've seen that the leg itself is a sensation, or is a cluster, or a collection of sensations, a group of them. Well, we wouldn't want to say that a sensation can see a sensation. Like the sensation is not the subject of the pain. The sensation doesn't feel the pain.
Right.
So that, if you see the leg as sensations, it sees that there's nothing in the leg that can serve as subject to those objects.
Who's noticing the pain, right? The pain's not noticing the pain.
Right. And so the same, like an object can't notice an object. You know, that's the job of a subject. You know? So the brain, same thing for the brain. We superimpose subjectivity, sentience to the brain, but we don't observe it. You know, it's like David Hume's case of the two billiard balls. You know, the white ball hits the red ball, the white ball stops, the red ball starts, and we want to say that the white ball's motion caused the red ball's motion. But visually, we didn't observe a cause. There's not part of the, we saw moving color, which is basically color's changing pattern, but nowhere in there did we see a cause. Not, we didn't say C-A-U-S-E. We didn't see that. So it's the same here. We don't see something in the act of serving as a subject.
Right.
So we don't see the brain doing that. We don't experience, there's not like, how on like cable television there's a little corporate logo that goes in the bottom right, or the station's logo, that tells you that this belongs to
watermark.
The watermark. So there's no watermark on our perceptions that say the brain is doing this. This belongs to the brain. There's nothing like that. We don't have any evidence that the brain is doing it. Not that good and useful things can't be built with that kind of notion. It's just that our direct experience doesn't force it upon us. It doesn't suggest that to us. So the brain as a candidate of where it's happening is, for really looking for an answer to that, the brain isn't the best answer to that. So, in fact, if you look at it, and this brings up something that people want to do. They want to find that place. They want to find the place. I want to go there because that's the source. I want to dive into it and, wrap myself in it. And that would be treating it, let's say you could do that.
As an object.
Let's say you could do it. Let's say it were like a blanket or like an ocean that you could jump into. That would be another object. The jumping would be an object. The sensation of being wrapped would be an object. It would be very much like the center of our self in the body. The sense of localization was an object. It wasn't the subject. So it'd be the same thing if we could find it. And if you could define it as something separate, it would be object-like as well. So if you could define it as being inside the head, somehow, the same shape, maybe not physical, but the same shape as the head. Earlier on, I'd often given that a lot of thought myself. Well, let's say that it is. I know it's not the brain. I don't think it's you doing it. I think it's me doing it. And then I thought, well, if it is, what makes this non-physical thing that I think is the subject? How come it's right here? How come it doesn't go... How come it doesn't move away from here? And what keeps it from spreading out like gas? Like in Formula Advaita Vedanta, they say that consciousness is more subtle than ether, and ether is more subtle than space. In other words, don't try to find a border.
Right.
And Jean Klein, actually, both Atmananda and Jean Klein have said, if you must visualize where this is happening, if you can't not visualize it, if you have to think of something, think of it as being in back of you, not inside you. if it's in back of you, and I think of it, as soon as, the first time I heard that, I thought of the hands of Allstate. Like holding the house.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not holding it, it's holding you.
Yeah.
So don't even look, don't look right here for something that you can
Right.
see.
Right.
That's if you have to visualize it.